Did you know that when a Scorpio is born, somebody in the family is gonna die?
No, I did not know that.
Yes. And then when a Scorpio dies, someone is going to be born in that same bloodline.
Wow.
Huh? Huh? We shooting rise, or we come from the sky. I fly so high that I cross evil eyes.
They're like a sacrifice.
It could be in a sense. It depends.
Because when you look into the Bible, allegorically, Jesus made a sacrifice for better things.
For highest consciousness, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It depends on it's your perspective of it. Very well could be.
Wow. That's some crazy things.
And I've seen it with friends. Like if they give birth to Scorpio children, then somebody either just died before the baby is born or dies like within the first 1 to 3 months after the child is born. And I've also seen when a Scorpio was dying that then within 1 or 3 months a baby was born in their family. I've seen both. It's an astrological fact, but I've also seen it.
When you dealing with the obsession, what placements can be physically felt the most? Because people be like, okay, like you just said, people are obsessed with Scorpios. I know Scorpio risings are people are obsessed with them. What about Scorpio moons? Because that's more hidden.
I'm gonna say what I've seen with Scorpio's moons.
Okay.
With uninvolved Scorpio moons, they obsess with people who they perceive to be powerful and do spiritual work against them. But because they are gonna like appear to be cordial with the person as if they don't have any ill will, it can go undetected. That's the uninvolved Scorpio moon.
So you're saying that they will chase someone who's doing spiritual work on them?
No, they're doing spiritual work on someone.
Oh.
I've seen that time and time again. If they're uninvolved. If they know, if it's another person they perceive to be powerful, they want to take them down. And a lot of the times that's the whole like keep your enemies close. That's the kind of game they'll play. And so you won't necessarily know that they necessarily don't dislike you because they're gonna put on a facade. And they're not. It's like very, very, very crappy. So that's an unevolved Scorpio moon. For the evolved Scorpio moons, what I've seen is because they have the power to transmute their emotions into withstanding some of the harshest set of circumstances and occurrences. Once they learn how to become at peace with that trauma and they alchemize it, they can manifest anything. I know a couple of wealthy Scorpio moons.
Thinking about the emotions, his energy and motion.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Energy and motion, and then energy and motion in ruling other people's resources.
Yeah.
Moon is manifestation. See, people will say, "Oh, the moon is detriment in Scorpio." If you don't know what you're doing,
you don't know what you're doing, all right? I know some Scorpio moons that they just like, they really just play victim. They're like, oh man, this is hard. I got the hardest placement. Man, this is gonna be and they live in chaos. I know it's sad to say, but they live in like a chaotic mode at their worst.
It just depends on when they get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, it's all on them. What about Scorpio?
Okay, the moon is feminine energy, right?
Yeah.
So look at Sierra. Look at how she was dating like men who was also a Scorpio that were like breaking her heart, playing games, so on and so forth. Then when she decided to evolve to a higher archetype of self, she attracted someone that was more energetically on her level and, upgraded her lifestyle even more, expanded it some, and vice versa. And you see that a lot. So with Scorpio moon, even though Sierra's a Scorpio sun, think of a Scorpio woman to still give you an example of what a Scorpio moon would look like. because the moon is the mother. And so you saw that with Eve. Eve went through, traumatic relationships and stuff, and then ended up, leveling herself up with someone else's resources. Her husband's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Not saying that means that he's like this great person or anything. I'm just giving an example of how when they learn how to use the energy, what they could be manifesting with it. And you got to think, they live in the underworld. They see into the dark. So this is like walking around with X-ray vision. So what people would normally be able to, hide in plain sight, people with Scorpio and Scorpio placements are able to piercingly see straight through someone with laser focus.
Wow.
The person could be putting on a whole, facade to everyone else, but they're looking at your energy, your auric field. They're
reading between the lines. Everything is just, that's where they thrive at.
Exactly. And so for that reason, very psychic and spiritually gifted, but it's just like them making peace with that, because that can take them far when it comes to networking, when it comes to business, when it comes to manifestation. But they have to learn how to hone that gift through their relationship with their higher self, with the divine, and just be at peace with it, and then not allow other people to siphon it. Because I always know when a Scorpio is out of alignment, because everybody else around them will be benefiting from their energy. Scorpio is the sign that will other people's energy.
Oh, that makes sense.
Resources.
Yeah.
Right. So if
that makes sense.
They would be the ones receiving.
So that's why Libras aren't the only people pleasers. Scorpios are too.
Exactly. It's just energetic a lot of the time.
It's energetic people pleasing, because I'll be around Scorpio energy or Scorpio moon energy, and they're always like people pleasing, and they're not aware of it, obviously. And I'll tell them, like, I'm gonna be honest, and I'll tell them, they're like, they don't really agree with it, but I see it. I see that people pleasing side, and
if they care about someone,
they're
gonna go to the depths of the earth.
Because
hell can't stop them to provide or share a resource or asset with someone they love or care about. What happens, this is where they get tricked a lot of the times, and it's hard to pull something over on them, but this is something that I see the area they get tricked in. People will see how loyal, how devoted, how obsessed, how fixed sign energy, how fixated they can get, that they'll make them feel like on purpose that they're not doing enough so they can keep doing more.
So that's where that obsession comes from.
Yes.
So when you go into the realms of obsession, people are really obsessed. People always want to know what these people are doing. Where does this stem from? Why are people obsessed with Scorpio? Or why are Scorpios obsessed with people? Like, I know it's from Pluto, but for instance, where does other people becoming obsessed with them come from?
Scorpio,
is it the sexual? It's really the sexual energy.
It is the sexual energy, but this can be dangerous. Sexual energy in itself is not dangerous, but people's obsessions with Scorpio and Scorpio risings in particular, or Scorpio placements energy, that's what can lead to a lot of Scorpio placements going through like rape, sexual assault. This is the darker side of the energy. And if a Scorpio is out of alignment themselves, they can be the perpetrators of these acts.
Wow. Yeah. This is some deep stuff. See, a lot of the Scorpio, shout out all the Scorpio energies watching, because and I've known, like I said, I've known a lot of people with this energy, and they've been through a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So you said the moon is considered the hardest. From an astrological standpoint, we always say Scorpio rising is the hardest.
Yeah. And why is that?
Because you're being co-ruled by Pluto and Mars, and every time you think that you are in a new identity, that you got stable and that you know what it is and what you want, Pluto says it's time to rebirth all over again. Every time if you think you're gonna get comfortable, Pluto is coming to level you up. And that constant death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth.
Dang.
And
So how do you? So how? Let me ask you this: How do you? How does someone even stay with a Scorpio rising? How does someone live with a Scorpio rising? Like, what kind of person do you have to be with a Scorpio rising?
think the descendant, think the Taurus aspects.
Right,
So
the seventh
somebody
house,
like stable,
stable,
reliable,
reliable,
ethical,
strong.
cool, wealthy. That one.
Right. Okay. Someone who has a like Tauruses are like trees. Someone who has like a tree archetype. Scorpios need that tree type of person.
That
Someone
groundedness.
really
That
grounded.
urgency.
Yeah. And that's what I noticed around too. Being around a lot of Scorpio energy, they're very guarded. Like these people are survival. Like at their worst, not all of them, but sometimes at their worst, they're like in guard. They're like guarded up, survival mode.
And it's just a thing. It's just natural. It's not even to be like, oh, I'm gonna guard myself. It's most of the time it's subconscious. I can tell you.
Subconscious. Yeah, they're not aware of it.
I can tell you how it shows up for me and how
Yeah.
I learned that it was associated with certain placements. So I have a lot of Scorpio energy in my chart, and I intuitively, like from a child, always would cross my arms and cross my legs. And I never thought anything of it. I just know that that's something I naturally do. As I got older and intentionally dove into metaphysics beyond what I would receive in like prayer and meditation and downloads, I discovered that people can not read you psychically. They can't read your auric field when you're crossed. And so I said, wow, I was intuitively just doing that.
Oh, really? When you cross your arm like this?
Your arms and your legs.
At the same time?
Either or both. Like you just double doing it if you do your arms and your legs.
But if I do my arms at the same time, people can't read my energy.
Yes.
Wow. See, I would. A story was I used to do that a lot, and I used to think people was told that that's bad. They said that what that does is it blocks your energy from flowing.
It does.
So is it beneficial? Would you recommend this?
It depends on the environment that you're in.
Okay. If you need to and you really want to, prevent people from entering and protect your aura a little bit more, that's what you do.
Because certain spaces, certain rooms, you could be in a room full of sharks. You could be a room full of piranhas. You're going to have to know how to, energetically protect them.
Wow. That is really powerful. See, this is the occult type of Scorpio energy that we needed today.
That was on the last day of Scorpio season.
Yeah. What is the last? That's the day. Is it 21st?
The 20th.
The 20th. Okay. Wow, that is really crazy.
Now, some versions of astrology may say the 21st is the last day. It really depends on where the sun is at. Okay, before it heads on over into Sagittarius. Because some cups is a real thing. Cups depends on when you were born. So
right. Another question. So I made a video on Scorpio as well before. I compared them to Aries. A lot of people always compare Scorpio to Aries, Scorpio Aries, because they both have the warrior archetype. They both are very passionate. These are like extremely passionate people. They put everything into when they talk, they put everything into it. So what's your I know you're shamanic astrologer. What's your take, your advice on Scorpios and Aries? Are they compatible? Are they? What's the differences between
them? Are you talking about in a relationship or just their energies?
In general, both.
I like to look at them as brother and sister.
Okay. And what would be the main difference?
Like Mars and Aries is the more masculine personification of the archetype, and then I look at Scorpio as the more feminine personification of the archetype.
So they're more okay. So Scorpio would be that feminine warrior.
I wouldn't even necessarily always say feminine. Well, no, I take that back. Okay, so it is feminine, but it's shadow feminine, and that's the part that people miss. So people will think that when they talk about feminine energy, that it's just divine feminine. No, feminine energy in its true essence can be shadow feminine. It can be the round feminine. There is not one type of feminine energy at all. You got to think of it from the moon perspective. The moon has these different phases.
Cycles and all, like 8, right?
Yeah, it goes through the 13 lunar cycles.
Yeah, 13. Wow. Wow. What's the least sign Scorpio is compatible with?
When it comes to compatibility, I like to look at an entire chart of both people. I can't really say because I've seen Scorpio with some people that you traditionally shouldn't season with, and it work out. Now I do have one that I see all the time that I wouldn't recommend. That's highly traumatic, but I see it all the time, and they normally stick together for about 20 years before they break up. And that's Scorpio with Gemini. I don't think that's a good match, but I know a lot of Scorpios, especially Scorpio women, who get with Gemini men, and it is one of the most detrimental things they can do to their lives.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine that fixed water. That's like ice, and then you got Gemini, fast ear, so fast paced. I can imagine.
The reason why it's dangerous is Scorpio is going to come in, be very devoted, give it all, show up authentically. And a lot of the time, Gemini is like just lighthearted, treating it like a game, treating it like a joke. They're love. And so that's where it becomes like obsessive and love and all these things.
Right.
And it becomes a cycle. And
yeah,
I know a lot of Scorpio women who get with Gemini men. I'm not even talking about one couple. There's 3 people in particular, 3 different
couples. No, that's a thing. That's actually a thing. Water signs chase air signs. It's a thing. Like I've been seeing it.
It's not a good.
Yeah. So why do Scorpios chase?
That Mars aspect. They're gonna
they like
what it is they want.
Right, they want that little competition. It's like similar Aries. Yeah. Okay. And air signs have a.
If it's a Scorpio placement involved, there's really not going to be any competition because they're going to take their energy and turn it up to the max. So where they're going to be like, what other person? Energetically, they won't energetically like.
Yeah, it is strong. Yeah, it's that strong. Yeah, that's why Scorpio is a fair sign when it comes to, especially like if you are in a relationship with a Scorpio, anyone with Scorpio energy, and there's like a third party involved, someone's gonna get hurt. Like it's that dangerous. Like someone should get scared. It's gonna be very dangerous. It's gonna be a very bad year, and yeah.
Spiritually, I've seen it happen. I've seen it with Scorpio placements, not always physically hurt. A lot of it can be spiritual warfare.
Yeah. You were telling me about that. Yeah,
the dreams and the spells and.
Yeah. And I've met a lot of Scorpios who have gone through a lot of spiritual warfare to the max, but they're strong enough. And I've heard Scorpios. You're right about that. About the they as soon as they feel safe, something crazy happens in their life. You're right, because did you know when Scorpios have like a good week, the universe gives them a nightmare just to toughen them up? This is like a mythology, yeah. Because nightmares, every time you go to sleep, you in the spiritual realm, right? So this is an opportunity for the universe to make you stronger. Our soul, that's the real life. This physical life, this is all like
it's the joke.
This is all like a lesson, like a blurry dream. But the real life is when you're in the soul. That's why you have to write down your dreams, because that's the real life. Like if you end up there in the dreams and you seeing your exes, these are people who are literally thinking about you. These are people who are literally thinking about you, like literally thinking about you. If you're seeing events and things, these would be things that are running in your subconscious mind.
Yeah, there is that. Well, it's not even a saying; it's a scientific fact. There's a study that 95% of what we experience in our waking reality is controlled by just 5% of whatever we've programmed in our subconscious. So if 5% of the subconscious can control 95% of your waking reality, that's telling you that the subconscious is where it's at.
Wow. So the dreams are very important to write down. More confirmation. Yep. Wow. And I used to write down my dreams, and I used to second guess them. But then I started realizing that they were never wrong. Like none of my dreams were never wrong. Like I haven't gotten a dream. If you write down your dreams, y'all will literally see that you will never get a dream that is incorrect. And it doesn't always mean that it's going to happen. It can mean something that has been thought about, has happened. It could be like something like you're recovering from in the past. It can mean someone's calling on to you. If you're seeing a lot of people in your dreams, or people you don't talk to, these people could be thinking about you, obsessed with you.
That's something that I experienced as a person that has Scorpio energy in my heart.
a lot of people in your dreams that you don't talk to?
Yeah, and I can always tell when it's like they are trying to make amends. It's like they'll try to reach me spiritually first, in spirit. Before they try to test the waters to see, okay, is this boiling hot water or is this just a cool pool?
Yeah.
And so I've seen a theme of that actually.
So recapping back to the eighth stage. Does Scorpio have a cap limit of intensity?
No.
Because the Phoenix, okay.
No. No. It really is whatever the other person can handle.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow. Because I was thinking about the Phoenix. The Phoenix is basically doesn't have no limit. So I was okay. Do they have a
soaring higher, and higher and higher?
Right. So it reminds me of the Hulk. They talk about the Hulk can get as strong as he wants. He doesn't have no cap limit.
Exactly, and that's that energy.
Dang.
The Hulk would put me in the alignment with the Mars that make me think of Mars.
Like Aries,
Not so much the warfare aspect because he was more gentle, but like his ability to get very like rock hard and strong and strengthened, to protect himself. Also, some things I would say for the Scorpio placements is if you stay on offense, you never have to get on defense. And that's something I could say I personally learned as someone who has had my life at times turned upside down with this energy from all of the obsessiveness and people after me and all of these things. If you like intentionally doing, your protection, like your triple reversals, your fiery wall of protection, all of that, then you don't have to worry about someone actually being able to attack you because you were being proactive about protecting yourself. The other aspect of it, I would say, is important is knowing your ability to shift your circumstances through transmutation. It's a gift. It is a literal gift.
All right, so we are now back on the episode. All right, so we are now back on episode 3 of the 5B family. This is going to be on 8 stages of Scorpio. We have a special guest, the name of Tammy. Is it Tam or Tammy?
It's Tamisha Monet.
Okay, so she is a master practicing astrologist, and she's very, very, very good at understanding all the archetypes of all zodiac signs, and she understands that even she said Scorpio herself, and she has a lot of Scorpio in her chart, but she said that Scorpio has 8 archetypes, unlike the other zodiac signs.
But a lot of Scorpio placement.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna let you basically give us the insight on this and introduce yourself.
Okay, so I am Tamisha Monet. I am an astrologer. I'm an astrologist really because I do tie in that psychological aspect to it, and I essentially just help my clients manifest wellness, rest, prosperity, joy, but utilizing astrology conjure, so planetary magic conjure, as well as utilizing like their natural strengths and talents and gifts and skill sets. Also a master Reiki practitioner and an ancestor venerator. And in my Orisha community, I am known as Ifa Shegun Oshunyemi. And so, yes, I am here just to talk about, how we can tap into the energy of Scorpio on the last day of Scorpio season and how it can help us transform our lives.
Okay, so let's get juicy. We know Scorpio as the most intense zodiac sign. This is a sign that, it gets quite of a reputation. Nowadays people say, don't mess with them. They got a vengeful side. They're really intense, and their nature is sometimes so intense to where most people can't even handle their nature. They don't even want to. This is why they're known to be secretive, because they don't want to expose themselves, because they know humans can't handle that intensity. Most humans can't handle an intense person, and Scorpios have that energy. So you made the claim that they have 8 archetypes to them. 8. And that means that you could run into an unevolved Scorpio, and you can also run into an evolved Scorpio. But there's 8 stages of Scorpios. So let's go on to the first few stages of Scorpio.
Yes, so Scorpio is a zodiac sign that is associated with essentially death, life force, transmutation, rebirth, taking shit, literal shit, city circumstances, and alchemizing it into gold. So what does that look like, right? That's taking jealousy, envy, obsession, betrayal, chaos, and taking it and transmuting it into something of worthwhile. In astrology, we say that Scorpio rules other people's resources, other people's assets, other people's energy. So they have that magnetizing allure to them because they're ruled by Pluto and co-ruled by Mars.
Okay. So let's hear the stages.
Yes, so the first symbol is the M gift symbol is the first stage. And so when you're at this very basic level of Scorpio energy, this is when the Kundalini energy is directly connected to consciousness. Okay. And so this energy is, very symbolic of that scorpion that sticks up and that will sting. Okay. And that stinger is actually going towards one's third eye, and it's serving as an antidotal medicine for the healing that you need through your shadow work, because Scorpio in astrology rules the shadow house.
Okay. Now, what about the second one?
So when it comes to the second archetype, it's that of the spider. With this particular archetype, this is when you are learning how to weave together your resources. Okay. So this is saying you have different networks, different organizations, different groups that you can create with what they have. You can take it and make it something tangible, with Scorpio being, a fixed sign, fixated, stable, and it having the shifting ability to shift circumstances based off of what they're able to withdraw from their environment. And so, with spiders, they go and collect things and bring it back to their web. So very symbolic of that transformative energy, even with there being normally like 8 sections of a web, just like Scorpio rules the 8th house and is associated with infinity, infinite resources, infinite transformation. And even that off squirrel symbol can be tied into this energy as well at this spider level.
Okay. Now let's go into the third stage.
That of the scorpion. So when we're talking scorpion energy, this is the energy that is hoarding some of the resources, either things that it's come across or people's energy or people's secrets. Okay. This could be a stage of being very aggressive if it's not balanced, or if the actual shadow work has not taken place. Okay, this could be someone who is acting out in jealousy, in rage, in anger. Now, if they are mature and they learn how to intentionally utilize this energy, it can essentially allow them to navigate sacred spaces in a very intentional way. What do I mean by that? Scorpio is the only water sign that can live on land. So that's something that they could experience at this symbol if they're coming out of the, mucky waters and then going into land to the ground.
And you say that because they are ruled by the scorpion, which can go in the water and also go on land. Unlike Pisces, they're fish, they have to stay in the water. They have to stay in their emotions. And what about Cancer, the crab? Can't they go on land?
They can go on land, but they're going to still need water at some point.
At some point. So Scorpios have like they have two sides when it comes to water and then land. Okay.
Yeah, if that Scorpion just wants to stay in the desert because it's co-ruled by Mars, it can literally take the heat.
Oh wow. So that gives them a little bit of the earth energy.
It does. It does. If at this stage that they're being very intentional about grounding that energy.
Wow. Okay, so let's go into the fourth stage. What's the next stage from this?
This would be the lizard. Okay. So this is where there is some evolution has taken place. It's the third animal form. If this period of time in a scorpion's development, if they're unevolved, as we would say, then they could deal with a lot of plots and trying to avenge themselves, trying to get back at people. And they don't typically respond to criticism well at this stage. And, Scorpio rules things that is hidden underneath the surface. So there'll be like this intense energy that is permeating from them on a intuitive psychic level, but they're not outwardly coming out saying this is bothering me, but they can really get to their prey by putting the energy in a very spiritual sense. So like that the person may feel like somebody's watching them, or they may just feel a presence, and really it's Scorpion's energy, but because they're not saying anything in say 3D, the person doesn't necessarily know what's happening. They can become very paranoid. So if this energy is not evolved, it can be dangerous. It can also be used to teach them how to transmute into a state of healing with that intensity. Because look at if they took that same gift and used it in a more intentional manner, the things that they could draw to themselves, like new experiences. They wouldn't have to be stalking someone as like, prey.
Okay. So what would you label? What would you name this stage?
That was the lizard stage.
Okay. So how many name all the stages from 1 to 4 we went through already?
Okay, so the stages we went through already, we talked about when Scorpio is still in its M gift symbol.
Gift symbol.
Okay? Yes, with that finger, that scorpion tail that's sticking out.
So that's like the lowest form of them, the lowest, root chakra, Tana.
Root chakra, Ashe, still life force.
Yeah.
See that prana at its infancy, I would say.
Yeah. And the second stage?
Second stage is that of the spider, so collecting and gathering resources.
And then the third stage? Scorpion. They finally transform from a spider to a scorpion. And then the fourth is a lizard.
Yes.
Okay, now let's go on to the fifth stage.
So the fifth stage, coincidentally, with 5 being a number that deals with flexibility and change and adjustability and a lot of transformation. This is the stage in which you find the scorpion energy as a serpent. And so this is where at this stage, there's this metamorphosis that's occurring where they are learning how to shed their skin. We've seen representations of this, for example, in Megan Thee Stallion's new video, that song Cobra. That would be an example of this energy. And this energy can go one or two ways. It's about how the venom is ejected. Because venom can strike you dead upon hitting your bloodstream, or it can transform you into a healing space. It's really about the intent in which the medicine is distributed.
So what's the title for this stage?
So for that stage, it's just energy of the serpent. Serpents have such a multi-dimensional layer. They are shedding skin, going into a new season. It's a season that's associated with a lot of rebirthing, because you're not going to enter that part of that cycle the way that you entered it, and the way you leave it will be two different people.
Okay. All right, so going to the sixth stage, what we got?
Wolf.
Mm.
Yes. So wolf is a very interesting stage because, this is kind of where you hear like leader of the pack type of energy. Okay.
Mm.
This is also knowing when to retreat from the pack and needing rest. Okay. Needing rest so that you can receive those downloads of spirit. You can act on the information that's in front of you and being presented to you. There's only certain magic that can be activated and cultivated in the dark with the cosmic mother. Okay. Wolves, they go on a hunt for the things that they need, and they howl at the moon. So that spiritual activation of working with the moon for manifestation. So, it's a very transformative time in which there's this connectivity to their loved ones. They have more responsibility, and they're learning how to leverage the resources that they have gathered at other stages.
Mm. So then, right here at the wolf stage, they're becoming more evolved. They're using more of their powers.
Exactly.
Mm.
That's a great way to look at it.
Okay. Now, seventh stage.
So seventh stage is that of the eagle. So this is the scorpion that has said, okay, I don't feel good. Or the Scorpio placement too, because these archetypes apply to people with Scorpio placements and 8th house placements as well.
Okay.
So this is saying, okay, when I'm in my lower state, when I'm just focused and obsessed on revenge and plotting and who hurt me, getting back at them, and trying to run up people, that takes a lot of my energy. My energy is sacred.
Yeah.
I could be doing so much more with my energy. And so
Mm.
this is the scorpion that's choosing to raise and rise above their circumstances. And they're using all the trauma, all the pain, all the hurt that they've endured as the wind beneath their wings to take off and fly.
Mm. This is the eagle stage.
Yes.
Okay. What's some things about an eagle that we can know about?
The eagle eye, first of all, seen from a bird's eye view. So, like nothing getting past them, because now at this stage, you are up so high that things of a lower nature don't get past you. So there's no need to be in like states of paranoia or fear or doubt or worry.
Right. Because you're always a step ahead.
Yes, because some of it now you can recognize these patterns on a intuitive, subconscious, perceptive level.
Mm.
It's also important at this stage that one taps into the ability to alchemize their reality. So I like to say that Scorpio placements sometimes do what's called self-fulfilling fulfilling prophecies. And so that's because Scorpios have seen so much treachery by being able to see into the underworld, which is just subconscious for seeing into the shadow states, seeing into that yin energy, that they'll just start expecting for things sometimes to go bad.
Mm.
And then because the energy is so strong, that's what they're drawing in more darker, more harsher experiences. But once a scorpion actually learns how to take the fulfilling prophecy and transmuting it into an actual way of living that they would like to experience, they become untouchable, which
Mm.
then brings us to the last archetype, which is that of the phoenix. So
Okay.
the phoenix is this evolved version of self that I would say is essentially ascending to say like 5D or higher, that is even operating from the gold star chakra. The gold star chakra is the chakra that's above the crown. So it's like very high energy that is burnt up the ashes of all of the iniquities, all the issues from the past, and the ashes are just falling away. So it's like that's getting that dust off your shoulder. You know, you don't have no squares in your circle. You're moving with a lot of intentionality, a lot of purpose, and you're transformed. This is the ultimate rebirth. Okay, there is, you know, no holding on to hardships. This is knowing that anything that you put your focus and your energy into, that you're gonna come up triumphant.
Mm. And there's a lot of sayings with the Phoenix. You know, they show the Phoenix rising in the X-Men movie, and in that movie, you see the Phoenix rising used by Jean Grey. She's the most powerful X-Men, arguably considered the most powerful X-Men, and she's said to destroy all the X-Men if she wanted to, and she did in the movies. And at that Phoenix rising, from what I know it's the most powerful form of energy because it's unstoppable.
Absolutely. And it's very symbolic because after you've been through that much, who can really stop you? If you've made it through those type of
Right.
circumstances in life, and you know, your sexual, you know, pain or trauma, abuse, none of these things can stop you. There are things that allow you to see how much power that you have that maybe people wanted to siphon and take from you, because something that Scorpio placements deal with is people who can see their power and want to siphon power from them through conflict. And that's where the Mars aspect is coming in, because sometimes the intimidation around the power that they possess and that they hold can make people feel as if they're a threat, because they're like, okay, I know if I had that kind of power, I would do X, Y, and Z. And then that's where it becomes a thing of anointing is only given to people who are prepared to step into it.
Mm.
Sometimes that just looks like the ultimate surrendering is what it is.
So what advice can you give to a lot of the Scorpios watching, or people with Scorpio placements, 8th house placements? What advice can you give to them, even Pluto placements, you know? What advice can you give to them to get out of that lower stages, that revenge stage, that vengeful stage, that victim stage, that, you know, super, we know Scorpios at their lowest can be very competitive to the max, you know, like
It can be very, like, you know, vindictive, and
yeah,
you know, the intensity can be negative if it's not channeled properly.
Yeah. What advice can you give to them to get out that stage?
I know for me, I learned to embrace my power.
Right.
And so embracing my power was me, one, owning it, honing it within myself.
Yeah.
Being very intentional about allowing my energy to be shared where I feel it's needed, but not for it to be siphoned and not for it to be harvested. So me being very intentional that, okay, anytime I walk into a room, I shift the atmosphere. Anytime I give my ashe, my life force, that purity of that intense life force energy to something, that I am then co-creating with the divine at that time. So I have to be very intentional about the things that I say and do. And so with that power that I'm owning, just because I'm empowered, that doesn't mean the next person is disempowered. You know, and sometimes our society can make people feel like, oh, it can only be one HBIC or this or that. When if you and your God or goddess ship, you don't necessarily need to take away from the next person, because you're just operating, you're just being in your power, in your essence. And that can't be taken from you. It got to be in you, not on you. And so one is, like I said, owning the power, but learning how to let go. And I would say that's probably one of the hardest things, because, you know, the energy can be so loyal. Scorpio is the most loyal sign. So when they're going through these acts of like betrayal and things of that nature, they naturally just want to then take all that same loyalty and like avenge themselves. But I've learned that my presence is a present. So when you remove your warmth, when you remove your spiritual cloak and protection, you remove that spiritual ashe, wisdom, that ability to create, that sexual energy that Scorpion has. When you remove all of the power that you have from someone, then that is punishment enough. The longing, the yearning. And so with that, I would say that's one of the things, it may be hard to let go. Like, yes, you can remember what happened to you, but only when you're trying to use it to empower and encourage yourself, not getting fixated on it, not living in the past, not getting stuck in these trauma bonds, these trauma loops, because Scorpio rules cycles. And lastly, I would just say transmutation, alchemy is the ultimate gift.
Like
So,
outlets.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like if they like you, they jealous of you, they talking about you, that is fuel. That is someone giving you an energetic offering. That is not
Yeah.
the time to be, upset or offended. You are living in their head rent free.
Yeah.
And that's something that you can conjure with.
Yeah. And I know a lot of Scorpios, and they got a lot of ops. You want to say people don't like them, but they actually don't care. Like they actually like that. And I was like, "Dang, you like it?" They're like, "Bro, yes," because it's like it means that they are successful, and they know how to alchemize energy better than no other, literally. Because similar like Pisces can alchemize energy, Scorpios can do it very well,
Yeah,
very well.
your natural domain of energy. And so it's just about remembering that Scorpio, a lot of times, is also reflecting things back to you as a water sign. So is it a calm sea, or is it a ranging river, rippled effect with a current? It really depends on the type of quality of water. And water in esoteric art, as we know, is the symbolicness of consciousness. So, how are you? Is your spirit clean? Is your spirit cleansed? Is your spirit pure? Is your spirit hydrating? Or is it suffocating? Like, all of those things matter.
So what is the best Scorpio placement? Is it gonna be Mars and Scorpio, Scorpio rising, Sun
They're
Scorpio,
all good for different things.
for different things?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
all good for different things. So, that Mars Scorpio placement would be highly versed in sex magic, manifesting with the actual alchemy of one's life force chi prana with Mars ruling energy. So that
Mm,
Kundalini energy being channeled into actual creation. That doesn't have to be the creation of a baby, even though babies in my tradition represent leaving a legacy. So when you talk about children, you actually creating wealth, as Scorpio rules the genitalia. And Scorpio is also the house of inheritance. But you can also create opportunities, passion projects, property, land with your sexual energy too,
yeah,
connection. So it's
I've
just
heard.
about how you're choosing to utilize it. And that's something that all Scorpio placements have. But Mars and Scorpio has an abundance of it because Mars is literally life force and it's also sexuality.
Wow. What about your Lilith and Scorpios? Because I don't really see a lot of those. I know some people got those, but how would those manifest from your?
But Lilith is, knowing how to take one's shadow self and how to be comfortable in that dark feminine, that shadow feminine, that femme fatale type of energy. Okay. And so when you're talking, Lilith, or in my tradition, me, if you're talking about that kind of energy and it's in Scorpio, that means understanding how to take your circumstances that may have hurt you, wronged you, um, taking you on different parts of your journey, and transmuting that into actual magic, transmuting that into gold, transmuting that into the rooms you want to be in,
Yeah.
transmuting that into like sacred soul sex
Yeah.
with yourself.
Not to cut you off.
With the other.
So when you say transmute, it's easier said than done. How do you really transmute that energy?
It's a mindset and an energetic shift.
It's a mindset and energetic shift.
Mm-hmm. Because
Okay. What's the first step?
one, you gotta change your mind about the hurt in all of these things.
Right. It's not against them, it's for them.
Right. Like this isn't happening to me, it's happening for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is giving me an opportunity to show up in the ways in which I can be victorious, which my name Ifa Shaguns me. Ifa finds me to be victorious. I will always be victorious. Ifa makes sure that I'm victorious. So going from the state of victimhood into the victor. So that's that transmutation of transforming your mind, your consciousness, your vibration into a state of alchemy, a state of success, a state of wealth, a state of abundance. Because again, Scorpio rules other people's resources. It's a fixed sign, so it's heavily associated with one's resources. It's associated with real estate. It's associated with grants. Getting money from other people, drawing in wealth, their partner's wealth. So that eighth house, breaking the generational curse to activate a generational gift. So the power that they yield can be unstoppable, but a lot of the times it's being a phoenix, not getting distracted by the ants and the different things that are trying to stop you on your path.
Yeah. So at that highest stage, they become at that Phoenix level, they're unstoppable. Yeah, y'all heard that.
Depending on the placement, if one has more than one Scorpio placement, they could be at different stages in their life in different ways. So like someone who's a Scorpio rising could be a Phoenix in their rising, but then say they have Venus in Scorpio, they may still be at the lizard stage when it comes to romance, relationships, and finances.
Okay.
So it's just learning how to really honestly assess where you are in the process so that you can be intentional about this magic that you possess. This is still the house of magic and esoteric arts as well.
Wouldn't 12th house be magic? Pisces house?
12th house is more like subconscious and manifestation.
Okay.
But when you're talking about the actual act of magic, you're talking 8th house.
8th house. Okay. Wow. I have a few 8th house places myself, so this does resonate a lot. 8th house, / Scorpio energy is very, it's transformative and it enjoys. It really enjoys obstacles.
It's deep energy, and the sooner a Scorpio placement can just get out of the like, why is this happening? I didn't do nothing. I don't deserve this. And get into, this is an opportunity for me to shine. This is an opportunity to receive the things that I want. This is an opportunity for me to evolve. This is an opportunity for me to experience magic. This is an opportunity for me to experience deep pleasure. This is the opportunity for me to be wealthy. That's when their lives change. This is an example for me to tap into my God-given gifts and my ability to tap into my connection with the divine. That's when everything shifts. That's when everything changes.
So let me ask you this: why is Scorpio this deep? Like, why are they so deep?
Because they're ruled by Pluto.
Okay. Because they have 8 archetypes. For them to be this deep, especially your suns, your risings, and your moons, people would be like, damn, like it goes this deep. One sign can go. You could make a whole book about this person or what this particular energy, particular sign, and you still only know about maybe 30% or maybe 20%. Right. So
this is that there's things and secrets about the energy that even with me having all the Scorpio energy that I have in my chart, that only gets revealed to me when I'm going through certain parts of the archetypes.
Okay. Yeah.
Because shadow doesn't always mean bad. You know, a seed is in the ground and is going to grow into a beautiful, you know, harvest, plant, tree, flower. A baby is conceived in the womb, the cosmic mother, the dark mother, in the dark. So the dark doesn't always have to be this negative thing. It's just about what are you doing in your infancy stages when you're in the creation. What kind of soil are you creating these birthings in?
Mm. Mm. So when it comes to Pluto, right? This will be one of the most closing questions. What drives Scorpio? They have a jealous side to them. Why is that part of their nature?
I've noticed as someone with Scorpio placements, as well as when I interact with other people who have Scorpio placements, the energy goes two ways. Scorpio is not always the one that's jealous. There is also this fixation with people with their power, where people are jealous of them. So there can be a lot of gaslighting that they experience as well. And I could say when Scorpios are jealous, because I've also had Scorpios that are jealous of
You
me.
said backfighting. What did you say?
I don't know, just that fast. I don't know.
Okay.
But there's this other part of the energy that when I have seen Scorpios jealous of other people, a lot of the times it's because the person typically don't know what they have, is what I've noticed. Like the person don't value whatever it is that they have. This could be a person, this could be opportunity, this could be a skill set. I have some Scorpios that are in my life, and there's been seasons where they were inspired by me and empowering me, but there's been seasons when they were jealous of me too. And when we've been able to shift and navigate beyond that, and we've been able to talk, because they're very honest. One thing about them, they're gonna own their stuff either way.
Yeah.
Whether they're the villain or the victor, they're gonna own whichever role they're playing. And so when we were trying to dissect, like, okay, well, why was the energy weird? What was that about? I've been told things like, oh, you just always optimistic or so strong that and everything just works out for you, and you just kind of confidently move about the world in a way knowing that stuff gonna work out. You don't seem like you get fearful. You don't seem like you get nervous. And so they were honest enough to say that that's what they were envious of.
Wow. Wow. That's deep.
If they trust you, they'll be vulnerable with you in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Dang, that's some crazy stuff. I've interacted with some Scorpio moons myself, and I'll say Scorpio is a very authentic energy at their best. That's one thing I do. And I do get along with Scorpios because I noticed that like they're authentic, like they're real. They're not trying to put on like, you know how sometimes, you know, air signs could be like Libra, Geminis put on a little facade, and Capricorns. Scorpios are just like themselves, you know what I'm saying? They don't care. They yeah.
They're gonna sink or swim in these deep waters. That's it.
Yeah, they just themselves, and you know they have a side to them that's just authentic as their soul. Like that's all they know is just to be themselves. So that's why they don't like fake people, because they're so used to just being like just real me. When they see a fake person, they can spot it so easily because they thrive also at, you know, seeing those things.
Yeah, Pluto doesn't leave room for fakeness. Pluto will strip you of every bit of falsehood that you operate in. It's just, you know, Pluto energy, when it comes to their ruling planet Pluto can be creation or destruction. It could be either. So if Pluto is trying to create something in you that needs to be alchemized, something of substantial, something that holds weight, that holds value, then you got to get rid of the fakeness. And you know, with them ruling the genitalia and releasing waste, this is why people with Scorpio placements can also like use the restroom a lot or not be able to hold energy a lot, like they'll have to get it out of them in some kind of shape, way, or form because they deal with the genitalia. People think of genitalia and always think sex, but it also releases waste.
So Scorpio moon is considered to be the hardest placement in astrology. What do you do when you're a Scorpio moon? I met some Scorpio moons and I noticed a lot of them are very chaotic, heartbroken. They're they're just broken. Like they have like their guards always up. They're like not really there sometimes.
I
So
would
how do
say
you?
that's the unevolved Scorpio moons.
Okay.
The Scorpio moons who learn how to.
Because your moon's your most delicate side. So if you're Scorpio, which is like chaos, destruction, the transformation, I could only imagine just being in that position, being in those shoes of a Scorpio moon.
Just learn how to operate in faith over fear. And so you'll know when it's faith because it's whatever your first mind said. So whatever that intuitive feeling that you got initially, that is correct. And then if you get a second thought that's trying to change what you initially thought, and it has like nervousness, anxiety, doubt attached to it, then that would be fear. There are so many Scorpio placements that I know that if they don't like something or someone, even if they not right at that exact moment, it could be 5 years later. It was a reason, and that's like they just have to learn how to trust that inner knowing that they have. A lot of the times, people make them feel crazy for being that psychic and being that intuitive. Like, oh, such and such, they harmless. They haven't even done nothing. You give it some time. I've seen this happen over and over. It could be years later.
So we are gonna go ahead and wrap it up. This was a great episode. Great podcast.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed speaking with you.
Yes, we're gonna do a part 2. Because there's so much to reveal. All right. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and save for another one. Ashe. All right.
If the Ashe shared with you today during the podcast really resonated with you, I invite you to join my Planetary Magick course, How I Manifested Over $7 million and Counting for my clients during the pandemic and a recession and inflation using astrology. So we manifest with the days of the week, the hours of the day, the placements in your chart, as well as your human design. You even find out what kind of herbs and what kind of flowers, prayers, affirmations you should be saying to manifest. We have been able to manifest all type of things: student loan forgiveness, start out inventory, marriage proposals, good healing, great diagnosis, as well as how to tap into one's spiritual gifts and spiritual purpose, how to increase your territory, attract more clients to your business, how to get a promotion, how to get a raise, how to attract love and relationships, and even conceive. And if you're looking to do the same, join me for my course. Register today.